Take one. Hey, mark it. You mark? Mark it.
And action.
If you want the Iron Throne, take it. We have an army, a fleet, and 3 dragons. We should hit King's Landing now, hard, with everything we have.
The scene where we first reveal the new alliance of Yara and Ilaria and Olenna Tyrell with Dany is vitally important in terms of the plot beats that it sets up, which are echoed through the season.
Everybody seems to have a map room. It's impossible to conceive of what the people in the show are conceiving of unless you have some kind of visual reminder of where this war is taking place and who is coming from where and going to where.
The importance for me was to show what their collective purpose was, which of course Peter's character Tyrion explains for us.
Okay, here we go. Let's roll, please.
Mark it, please.
And action.
Lady Greyjoy will escort you home to Sunspear. And her Iron Fleet... Well, shit.
Come on, guys.
Oh, nice.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
Well, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. It's lovely.
So here we are in the Dragonstone map room. It's slightly changed from the original. The big change is that we designed a new dragon. So we've taken the old dragon out and we're now sculpting a new design of a dragon in.
What you got? What we got? Like a map table?
The first time we obviously see this and see the furniture, we're going to have it all sort of caked in dust and sort of lived in the map markers, all the old map markers going to be tossed around the floor. So obviously the second time we do it, when we see it next, we'll sort of clean it up, and that's when we'll have the new map markers in there, basically.
We will not attack King's Landing.
So how do you mean to take the Iron Throne? By asking for it nicely?
With the exception of Tyrion, all the allies that matter in this scene are all women. I don't think there are that many situations in film or television where you see 4 women sitting around a table discussing power and strategy and war.
Will you take a bit of advice from an old woman? I've known a great many clever men. I've outlived them all. Do you know why? I ignored them. You're a dragon. Be a dragon.
Dame Diana telling me to be a dragon, I was like, thanked. I'm gonna wake up some mornings and just tell myself that.
It's been so rare. We've all sort of been in like separate TV shows on these different locations story-wise, and we're lucky if we even meet each other actor-wise, so it's so much fun to be in the same room and act with them again.
Okay, settle now, please, guys. Here we go. Let's roll, please.
Sound speed.
Sound speed. 13 Lima, take 1. C marker 1.
What are you doing?
You're not dying today, Sir Jorah.
The operation on Jorah was one of the major technical challenges for me in episodes 2 and 3. 99% of the credit goes to Barry and his incredible prosthetics team.
It's something we hadn't necessarily done before, and it's like almost everything we do with prosthetics. It's all trial and error. We had to devise a way of removing the top outer skin of this disease and having an underlayer beneath which could bleed, and we'd have pus and various gooey things. And I think we had a team of 4 applying his body makeup.
My call, I was picked up at the hotel at 1:45 in the morning, and it was 5 or 6 hours to get the full top body prosthetic done.
And stand by to rip, please. Ripping in 3, 2, 1, rip.
The props for this scene are props that will be used in one scene, never seen again. You could have gotten away with a throwaway version of those props, and I bet 9 out of 10 people wouldn't have noticed because their eye is somewhere else. Deb doesn't approach her job thinking, well, nobody's gonna be looking over here. She gives equal focus to everything.
What people hold in their hands is really important because that tends to be what the camera will actually see in close-up. So something like Sam's medical instruments, you know, it's that cross between sort of medieval, but at the same time, you know, we're in the Citadel, and what does that mean? And what sort of instruments would Sam use to operate on Jorah?
Please try not to scream.
I had two specific images. One was the camera there and one was the camera there. The idea being that when we were seeing the scalpel cut through the grayscale, I wanted to also be able to see Ian's face and the pain of that. It had to have context. As a cutaway, it's just a prosthetic, but when Ian's face is in there, to me, it comes to life.
Even though everybody on set knows that it is a prosthetic, there's an instinctive human reaction when you see blood and when you see flesh coming away from body and sinew underneath. You just have that instinctive reaction that you can't really control, seeing something that I shouldn't be seeing.
You do have those nice moments when you're as an actor where you sort of, which you're not supposed to do, there's supposed to be a hush in a studio, but certain moments where people go, oh no, that's just disgusting.
How's that, Mark?
That's really good. It's funny if you want it.
The location team in Seville had found this extraordinary old armory, which had incredible scope to it. The challenge was to bring Anton and Lena through the set in such a way that could maximize that depth. And of course, the incredible scope of a number of skulls that they supplied for us.
We had made all of these extraordinary dragon skulls here for months and months.
There must have been 50 dragon skulls down there of all different sizes and different states of disrepair. It's like Robert's hidden trophy room.
Of course, we had the giant skull that was in the back there.
That had a digital 3D sculpture done in the art department. Then we took on the task of translating that into a pretty large polystyrene carving.
Balerion the Dread's skull would be the hero prop, and it's the largest dragon that's ever existed. And this is the dragon that spearheaded the conquest of this whole country, and it put all 7 kingdoms under Targaryen reign. So if you can drive a giant tree trunk bolt through the skull of this thing, that means that maybe you stand a chance against the Dragon Queen. If you can't, you don't.
There does appear to be a plan in hand.
Have you ever been down here, Your Grace?
No, I can't say I have.
If they can be wounded, they can be killed.
The weapon itself is something that Tommy Dunn and his team made, and it's real. I mean, it weighs thousands of pounds. It's functional. I mean, if you really increase the tension on it, you could put one of those bolts through a cement wall. We didn't do that because that would not be safe.
If you kindly pull that lever.
He shows Cersei a working model. So he's basically saying to her, we can do this.
You're the greatest captain of the seas, so we needed a good sea battle in this series, right?
Yara and Theon did underestimate Euron's prowess and power.
Euron's ship was such a great, humongous, mean-looking thing. It was so right for that character.
The Silence is Euron's command ship, and it's supposed to intimidate people when they see it, and it's supposed to strike fear into the hearts of his enemies.
The boat itself is a big fuck you boat built by a big fuck you guy.
It's one of those things where the Silence was written bigger than what we could actually afford to build. And so we had to be clever about the way we did that.
We decided that the best way to really put across the true size of this boat was to build a section of it, the bow section that rams into Yara's boat.
And so we designed a big naval ram that was on the front of that boat that would then crash into Yara's. And that was an opportunity to reintroduce the Kraken. And also we had the Corvus itself.
We built the Corvus so that it became lightweight and very strong. We had a stuntman standing on the end, but obviously a controlled fall, so we had to make sure we had the right speeds, which meant that we had to control it with a wrench system.
Here we go. And 3, 2, 1.
One of the major challenges in the boat sequence was how to, sell the idea that this was happening at sea, that they were floating on water, and yet we're in a car park in Northern Ireland. Sam's first ever was, well, we'll just blast a load of water against the sides and it will splash up. By having this splash up, there was immediate visceral connection with the ocean.
We had green screens 60 feet high, all the way around the ship. So, you know, there isn't really a direction that the camera can face that we don't have to do something.
We're big believers that real photographed elements are what helps sell the reality of our scenes.
Part of the look of it all, having a lot of embers burning through the shot as if all the boats are on fire. So we created ember guns. We had some larger rigs as well. We had a couple of moments where the whole sort of section of the mast would come collapsing down. Part of the battle is Euron's crews fire the burning projectiles at Yara's crew. Our effect there is really a lighting effect, which was basically a flare. Sometimes we had flares fired freehand, and sometimes we had flares fired down wires.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, action!
I have an axe, right? Of course he has an axe. He doesn't fight with a sword. He has an axe. So the first hit I have, blood just came like... And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. All right, next one.
The Iron Islanders have a particular breed or species of violence, which is bludgeoning, basically.
I wanted it to feel like of a riot when there's a flash of, you know, violence and it just kicks off and nothing should look choreographed. You know, we had 40 stunt guys on there, 6 cast members and the crew.
It will be axe, whip, yank, punch.
Namira, played by Jessica, with the whip, that's quite a challenge to have a busy environment with an 8-foot whip. So we do lots of inserts with a real whip and then we use a CG extension. And then killing of the sand snakes, we orchestrated their deaths, and the whole point of that was for them both to see each other die.
One of the things I think we, the production, learned was to make it personal, to stay with individuals within the chaos of the battle. Initially, it was all about Gemma's character, Yara. We also found that Euron was such fun that it became more of a split.
Give your uncle a kiss.
And Pilu is such a great kind of heir apparent to Ramsay, is such a great baddie for this season.
I enjoyed it a lot because it's fantasy. So all my bad, evil thoughts gets released in Game of Thrones.
The key moment in the sequence is Yara coming up onto the poop deck area, and really that moment of looking out over the stern of her ship and seeing the enormity of the attack and knowing that all is lost and that the only thing to do is to, you know, fight to the last like a good Iron Islander.
3, 2, 1, action, you go. And then he's going to go on action, then we'll readjust. Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action!
And it really all comes down to close-ups on 3 people and where they're at the end of this experience.
The key emotional moment was loss and betrayal when she realizes that her brother is broken. A take that I think we ended up using on her close-up, where there was just a small tear, which you know, we tend to be very kind of show a lot of restraint in any kind of overt emotion in the series generally, but that felt earned to me.